IVM.
All right, welcome to episode 81 of Shunya One.
We're back after a long time.
Season 2, the next chapter in this awesome show that we've somehow created.
Let's not call our own show awesome, that other people call it awesome, but yes.
Yes, but I think that's what everyone says. And please say it. Please
please
leave us all the reviews and thank you for everything that you've been...
Yes, we're absolute attention-seeking...
people.
Yes, people.
I hope you've been enjoying the rebroadcasts we've been doing. We had some real gems from our previous season. It was great to sort of relive all the conversations we had in the top, I think, 40 episodes or so.
We did stuff for the first 40 episodes, that's right.
Yep. But what we're going to do now is, of course, kick this year off and this next season off with a whole lot of new guests on the show. Obviously, a lot of conversation around entrepreneurship, startups, founders, the journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, and pretty much what's next in store for us here in India and the rest of the world.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a good way to kick it off, right? I mean, I think our guest today is really exciting, and we got an extra co-host kind of person who can talk about stuff that neither of us really understand well.
Absolutely. So today is a special episode. We're talking to Pravin Jadhav from Paytm Money. And of course with us will be Anupam Gupta, who's the host of Paisa Vaisa. And we're going to have an interesting conversation. So let's get into it.
Yep.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. Welcome Pravin. How are you doing?
Thank you. I think I heard Sheila's show first was like probably the 4th or 5th episode when he had pinged me. This is something that I was like, Sheila, you're made for this. Your voice on this podcast.
Wait, are you saying that he has a radio voice?
Yeah,
he has a radio voice.
Yeah. and finally I'm here being in the same city.
On episode 81.
Yeah. But start of the first season of this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We have a special co-host here today.
Yeah.
Anupam Gupta.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
I'm in the company of greatness. What to do? I have neither a radio voice nor a radio face. I host a show called Paisa Vaisa.
Right.
Okay, which is kind of sounds like Shunya One because that's zero and I'm Paisa, not even rupee. Okay, so I'm absolutely thrilled to be here.
Let's not get into the fact of who is the favorite son, right? I mean, because that is there's a lot over there to unpack.
Yeah. But I'm thrilled to be here. I am thrilled to be with Pravin. Okay, it's got a really fantastic story from the money angle. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk to Pravin about, and I'll wait for that. I'll just,
Yep.
I'll put that over to you now, Sheila.
Yep. So, of course, new season and everything, we'll try to do things a little more dynamically, and I want to actually throw in the fact that we're doing this show together means we both have two sides to this whole conversation.
Sounds
so,
good.
Pravin, to kick it off, why don't you actually tell us a little bit about the story so far and what brought you to what you're doing today in Paytm Money, because you've been a founder before multiple times in a lot of different things, and of course scaled up with some really high growth companies after that as well. So why don't you give us a little background on what led your journey here?
Sure. So just to cut it short, I was on a break after the exit from Freecharge, and I was in Bombay, and then someone introduced me to one of these top wealth management companies in this country, and among the top 10, in fact, ranked quite higher. And they said, meet this guy, he's done some things at Freecharge.
Because of all the money you had made.
No, things that I've done for Freecharge. And I went there and I was like, okay, I was the guy in t-shirt and jeans, and I was sitting in with the CEO and the board of that company, and I was trying to explain what do we do. And the gentleman was like, what exactly do you do? And I had only one answer: everything. It's startup, right? I don't have a choice. So be it product, be it growth, be it marketing, we do end up anything. And it didn't go well because they said, hey, we also have tech. Okay, we have an IT department, and we do all of these things. Okay, how different is a startup from us? So that's classic thought. And I came back home that day and I saw a missed call from Vijay. And then I just pinged him and said, hey, at what point of time are you going to get into wealth management? Because this seems keen. And Vijay said, let's speak tomorrow morning. And we did, and we connected, and we met up the next following week. And I told him, remember the conversation that you said that you should start up again. Okay, if I had to start my journey, I'll probably do a wealth management company, because that's a super under-penetrated industry, just 15, 16 odd million investors in this country. and this should be just logically the next step to become big. And then Vijay said, yeah, definitely, why not? And why not build it for Paytm? Okay, you like to build products. Okay, great products require great distribution. So then you have Paytm for that. Why not build it together? And that's how the entire journey started. So it is very difficult for me to convince people that, hey, this was that one chat and one conversation, which actually is the starting line for Paytm money.
Wow.
So how did you start? I mean, like, let's go a little bit further back, right? I mean, like, in terms of what was your how did you start? What was your role with FreeCharge? What were you doing over there? How did you get into this kind of these kinds of spaces?
So I earlier was running a company called Wishbook.
I actually wanted to get that into it, right? Because you started with FreeCharge, and I know for a fact that there is a history to you before FreeCharge, right?
Yes.
There's something about Wishbook.
Yeah. So in fact, the history is long. Okay, I did my MBA in HR, and I survived HR for like almost 7 months, and I realized, hey, this is not something I can do. I need to be on the tech side of things.
You don't want to send out everyday reminders that today's so and so's birthday.
Yeah,
And that's what HR does, right? Okay.
No, HR does cool stuff. Let me say that because our HR does that. Okay, but then this is like back in 2006 when I stumbled across Rediff. I went and met Ajit and I told this is something that I like, and he said, no, why don't you come and do something over here and we will call you a product manager. And I was like, no, who is product manager? And at that point of time there hardly used to be. So we figured out our things. Okay, then at that time Rediff was the big internet daddy of India, and I mean, you talk about internet, there's only one side, which is Rediff. So I was there for about 4 years, 2 years with their mobile services, 2 years with their e-commerce. After that, I did my own startup, which was Wishwork, based in Bombay. And that time, I think we all had that cool Bombay Founders Club. We used to meet regularly and talk about things about product, design, scaling and stuff. FreeCharge then acquired us, and that made us move to Bangalore. In fact, I actually traveled to Bangalore, never moved really. And after that, I was looking at product as growth for FreeCharge. We zoomed from like some 35,000 transactions a day to 1 million transactions a day in quite a short span of time. It got acquired, and then we said, no, it's time to take a break and chill a bit. And that is where I kept on interacting with a couple of folks from Bombay and meeting a lot of startups, entrepreneurs, what other people are doing. And that's the kind of a short journey of like 10, 12 years now.
Right. And you've always been in these sort of, as a individual, you've always been the founder mindset, founder yourself, driving product, driving growth. When you looked at this challenge of building a wealth management app or personal finance app, obviously you did a lot of research yourself. You looked at what's out there. Tell us a little bit about how you solved this space with a tech approach. Like what was there? What were the gaps you saw?
And also, there was this tweet that you put out saying that Paytm Money is not a fin app; it's actually a tech app.
Right.
And that kind of ties in with your question, right?
Yeah. Right. So I'll tell. So when this conversation with us getting started actually happened, and I actually got started the very next day, I landed up in Bangalore. And in fact, it was discussion between me and Vijay. He's saying, where do you want to set up? Okay, we are in Noida. You are from Bombay, and you could make a choice between these two. And I said, no, I'm picking Bangalore because I think I can build faster over there. So the next day I landed up in Bangalore, and I was the only person. So I used to literally go to people's offices and meet them in the reception and trying to, hey, I am setting up this company. It's part of a big company, but I was not telling them which is the name of the company. So why don't you come and join me? So I did manage to convince a few folks, which is like early 5-6 people who came and joined without knowing that it is Paytm. So it's because friends, relationships, this is a guy, he has done something, he's not a fraud guy, don't worry, and all of that. So we did manage to have a few folks coming down, and we didn't even work from the Paytm office at that point of time. So when people used to come and say, hey, is this really Paytm? Because we don't know about you, okay, and you saying that there's something Paytm Money, there's no company like this. So that is what we went through. But then early research, which was Sheila's question, is like, what do you do when we have a tech startup with no engineers? Okay, you do sit in front of the PC and trying to figure out what next. What do you build now? So what we did at that point of time was took a look at almost 35 different apps from online wealth distribution companies, online mutual fund companies, large brokers, AMCs themselves, and we looked at 50,000 negative reviews or comments or complaints that people had about investing. And now when we go and look back at that sheet, trust me, you would never want to invest again. Okay, it's the behavior that we have, right? Our money is in the bank. and you want to move money from your bank into investment, into someone else's hand or someone else's custody, and you look at that particular experience or complaints of these users, hey, I put my money, I don't know where it is now. There is no way to track and trace them. I haven't got a confirmation. My KYC is rejected, okay, and then my portfolio is not showing what it's supposed to show. It's not growing, okay. I have sent a request for redemption, but no one is tracking it. It's been more than 30 days, and this is the kind of feedback that you are seeing. And we said, if we have to build an app, these are the things that we don't want our investors to look at.
That's amazing. I mean, that's the most actionable kind of idea I've ever heard about how to find the problem that you want to solve, right? Go and look for negative reviews.
Yeah. So for us, okay, it was a common sense thing that wealth management has to happen. People have to start investing. So that product market fit was not a question. It's about what experience you want to give to your investors, to your users, and how different it is from the current people. Because the kind of people that we're also going to go after are the incremental new investors. I'm sure Anupam knows, and he's been speaking to a lot of guests on his shows, and we are a big fan of his.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that we are waiting for the industry to grow, but we talk about the industry in size of money, that is your assets under management. We don't really talk about the number of investors coming. So that is the single most focus that we are actually focusing on. And the guy who's going to come for the first time to make investments is not knowing what is NAV or what is debt fund or what is the credit rating of that particular, who's the fund manager. He basically wants to try. He basically wants to try. ये सब लोग बोलते हैं mutual fund सही है. Okay, मैं इसको try कैसे करूँ? Okay, this is what the problem we want to solve.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly what I think you went after. You went up. One thing you just mentioned, right? The incremental investor. The incremental investor is looking basically a person who's not invested before, right?
Right.
Or who's complete new to this experience.
Correct.
Coming back to add on to my earlier question, what as a tech platform makes you appealing, you think, or what did you do to make yourself appealing to that new investor? Like, could they not have done this at a bank itself, or at any? I mean, could they have done this on any other medium or any other kind of platform? Were they not able to do this before? Like, if I had, let's say, if I was a brand new investor today and I had only 1,000 rupees to invest, what were my options before, and why are you a better option?
I'll tell you why that's a great question, right? Because we're talking about generation change out here. People like me, Amit, we are essentially Gen Xers, right? We are old school. We believe in finding out for ourselves, learning on ourselves and everything, and taking a decision based on our own knowledge and doing the hard work out there. I don't know what you think, Amit. So millennials, I believe, are more focused on ratings, reviews, and asking people what to do.
I agree with you in the formulation you're making. I don't know if it's a generational divide as much as it's a personality divide. I think that there are people who are of the nature who want to kind of find out stuff, who really want to dig into stuff. And I think that there are a lot more people who want an easy experience.
I think the generation is shifting that way. At least if I speak only about my thing about money and finance, Paytm money fit
Come
out
on, man,
there.
Don't call us old farts.
Separate generation. I'll just kind of write the coattail out there and just say that. So what he's talking about, why couldn't you do this at a bank? Why couldn't you do this at an AMC? That's what we used to do. That's what my generation actually used to do. We used to fill up physical forms, trust somebody else, and do all that, right? So Paytm money, I believe, probably fit in a gap of where a user can do this entire process himself in a very seamless manner. So.
Yeah. So just to give how the incentives or how the thought of the industry was before. Like mutual fund industry, it depends on the expense ratios, which is a sort of commission, which basically means if you invest high, someone makes good money out of that.
Right.
So what really happens in the old school thought, like people like us, so I'm part of you guys, your age group only. Okay, we go to a bank and we are bombarded with everything else that we don't want.
Yeah.
Like for example, like my primary bank is a very unknown bank. It's kind of good, but I've told them the day you give me a call, I'm going to close my account. I know what I want. Okay, and my kind of premier relationship is you never disturb me till the time I tell you what I want. So that is what happens, right? And you go to a bank for something, okay, and banks are one of the largest distribution channels today. Okay, they try to sell you everything, and you have, hey, मुझे तो वो check चाहिए था. I just want to deposit a check, or I want to just change my nominee or change my address, and don't sell me things that I don't want.
Right.
So that is what was happening. Yeah. What we looked at is basically, someone has created great awareness about mutual funds, and that hats off to the industry with what has happened. And what we wanted to bring on is some incremental people who have never invested. So taken to Sheila's point, Okay, what we do is the integration with all the KRAs when someone puts a PAN card for validating that. Now, what we have seen is 65% of people who put a PAN card number for initiating their KYC on our platform don't even have a record in KRA. So they have never, ever touched any wealth management product for which a record has to be in a KRA. So that is our journey. And secondly, we are trying to get incremental users, but these users are coming from the beyond 30 cities, which is the standard definition of AMFI. So we are talking about investors from places, okay, which are like interior towns, who know what mutual funds are, wanted to try it out, but never had an option because the guy is going to invest 100 rupees. Okay, who wants to make 1 rupee of that particular person by investing, people, process in that particular place or that particular town? So what we are trying to solve for is basically an awesome platform by great product, great design, where we don't talk about things which are those disclosures, but we show them visually for people to understand.
Right.
So that's what the differentiator, what we are trying to do, and we make it super simple for them to track where your money is, where it is going, when is it going to come back, how has it been managed, who's managing that, okay, which is the AMC, who's the fund manager, what is his pedigree, and what has he done before. So that is the kind of platform that we want to build. So it's not a platform for managing money, it's a platform for managing trust.
Yeah, I'm going to throw in some numbers out here, right? India's population, and excuse me for using crores. I'm that old school, okay? So I'm not going to do billions and billions. I'm just
That's okay. We are
too familiar
India
with crores,
here,
okay?
and
I'm
it's
sure
an India product.
Yeah. Pravin, please feel free to add into the numbers, okay? So population 135 crores. There are just 10 crore passport holders, okay? 2 crore credit cards, 8 crore debit cards, okay? That's the gap between credit and debit,
Right.
okay? SIPs in India, just 2.5 crores, okay? That's it, okay? I don't know how many users you have in your platform right now, but you spoke about B30. There's a massive audience out there.
Yep.
I don't know if you have the smartphone numbers out here. The kind of number of people in India who have a smartphone.
It's 600 million or something. 600 million devices, active connections. There are duplicate connections, but 600 million active connections.
Even if you take 10% of them belonging to unique person, that's just 6 crores.
Potential active users of India is like 300 million.
That's
And we are talking about apps like TikTok. As someone told me recently, they have 200 million users in India.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
YouTube has 350 million. So
the entire potential that a Paytm money has. I think there's no question of competition in the sense you would like competition. The kind of audience that's out there.
In fact, the way we think it is, the more the partners, the better, because then you have more people talking about mutual funds, not just us.
Yeah.
And why do you think this? Again, just to question the founder thought behind it, right? Obviously, you look at a total addressable market is huge. So many people who have not invested. So many, there is, of course, it's a great for the greater good and expansion. It's great. But at the same time, you guys are uniquely, and of course now everyone has followed you. I think you're a zero commission platform. Yes. You actually make no money off of your investors at all.
Yeah,
right? So, and this is again you breaking the norm. Like you said, the previous folks in the business or the traditional businesses in this didn't spend the time and effort to go to the 30 plus cities because they thought hardly any money we are going to hardly make any money from them. Why are you able to do this, and why do you think that long term? Of course, there's so many things you could get into, but why is it a viable business?
Sounds like charity, right? Because everybody who has a mutual fund is first. I mean, I'll say about the slightly more knowledgeable guys. This entire thing about commissions, this entire thing about regular versus direct. It's been a thing, for anybody who's investing. The kind of noise that's been out there about the expenses and how they impact your returns. Why did you go for just doing this, like Shilu said?
Yeah. So our perspective on that is, while there is a lot of debate about direct versus regular and what's better, okay, our thought process is, guy should understand what mutual fund is. Understanding regular and direct is the next step that he'll probably realize is after being invested for a very long time. So that is our view to it. So we don't talk to investors or people who are coming on the platform, this is direct, this is etc. I think person needs to understand what a mutual fund is. Okay, let us make him try with 100 rupees first. Let him see how the money goes from his platform, and then it goes, and there is something called units that you get allocated. And we also started talking the language of the industry, which we wanted to avoid. And that's how the journey is for us right now. But the larger question, why free? Okay, and we hear this from a lot of people. Now, again, coming to like Anupam, like he probably knows the numbers, okay, and it is very AUM driven. The average investor today in India, talk to any large AMC, is investing around 4,000 rupees to 6,000 rupees a month.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because the 2.5 crore SIP guys are doing 9,000 crores of monthly SIP flows. If you just divide the two, you're looking at an average of just under 4,000.
Right.
That's perfect.
Right. And for us, okay, the average are 80% investments on Paytm money who are on SIP. They are 500 rupees or less.
I started with 500.
Exactly.
Coincidence, I just increased it to 1,000, by the way.
Correct.
Wow.
So,
And I'm in losses, by the way. I'm very thrilled in life to be in losses as I just opened the app today. I just opened Paytm money today.
yeah.
But, so what I've done is I've increased my allocation. Okay. That's because, so I was at 500, I bumped it up to 1,000. Okay. Which was going to be my next question to you. See, so I'm guessing that 2017 was a blockbuster year for the markets. Okay, small cap, mid cap, all did fantastically well. 2018 in comparison थोड़ा ठंडा पड़ गया. आज के तारीख में ना हाल बेहाल है.
Correct.
Okay, small mid caps. I believe the small cap index is just about at its 52-week low. I was just doing the charts yesterday. It's a 5-year cycle that's run. That it's done its time. Okay. What do you think is going to happen now? Not in terms of markets, of course. If you have a view, it'll be great to hear that. Do you think that investor mentality is affected by all this?
And again, juxtapose traditional investor mentality like Anupam, an expert who's in the industry and has been doing things in the industry, versus the people who you are going after, right? Who only just hear about stock market and equity and they read the orange papers or whatever, and they never knew anything. They just want their 1,000 rupees to become 1,001 or 1,100 or more, right? How will you keep their trust?
Yeah, so again, this is wisdom from what we listen to and what we look at the stock market experts or the market expert, wealth creation experts. Okay, there's a view on that. People who basically see losses, are able to sustain losses, are able to see it on a daily basis, are the people who will go long when it comes to making investments and making money on top of that.
Oh my, that's
so our sense is you have. I mean. While you're seeing and you're following the news, Anupam, of course, okay, SIP flows have been kind of steady. Some people are reporting decline numbers, etc. We are growing 40% month on month in terms of SIP registrations on our platform. In fact, we have been told that we are larger than everyone else put combined online.
Wow.
And we actually are number one in December for entire industry. Okay, so that's the kind of growth what you're seeing. So India is a different country right now. Okay, so unlike the thought that we were having, let me manage someone else's money. Okay, people are saying, okay, 100 rupees, let me try it out. Okay, and that is the kind of flows we see. That is the kind of incremental investors that we're seeing on a daily basis now. Okay, and what started the 100 rupees SIP, what Anupam was referring to, topping it up. First 2 months, okay, we had like one investor and doing one SIP of 100 rupees. Now the average SIPs per user is doubled. It's 2.2 something. So we see people understanding it. We see people that it's market linked. So we can talk about it, but rather we will let people do what mutual funds is. Okay, experience that money goes up and goes down. And I think, even from my own personal journey, when I started investing in 2007, 2008, I invested in Sazlon. Okay, and that was the market.
That must have been a fun experience.
Yes,
Yeah.
And now the price of Sazlon is some 3.5 rupees.
Yeah, it must have been fun. Yeah, I mean, I think of a portfolio that has Suzlon, that has Arcom, people who talk about long-term investing. I'm like, okay, what about people who have that kind of portfolio?
See, so again, I'm a noob in this. I never really invested. I tried stuff out, never saw anything significant, so I left it off. But for people who are now going to invest, and you said 40% month on month, you're growing. It's growing like any other tech startup we hear about, right? It's growing, maybe not TikTok, but it's growing like every other product you put out in the market. It finds early product market fit. You said obviously you knew that the need was there, the gap was there. As a tech founder, what are the things you're doing to sort of accelerate this, right? I mean, a great product, UI, information, knowledge, education. Like, what are your tech approaches to sort of accelerating this growth?
I think that's a very great question, because this is something that we don't get to talk about, okay, or any other forums. So when I was talking about the earlier journey where we compared the platforms and we were thinking, should we build it X or should we build it Y, and on what kind of platform that we should build, so that when we're trying to build for scale, we get it right and not get it fast. So we looked at the current existing service providers who were there in the industry. And we're actually thinking, do we want to do this? Because your competition and the other people who are online, they're practically building their product on top of the same platforms. So tomorrow, if I have to innovate, I have to go to the service provider. I have to tell them, hey, you tweak this feature or you make this feature in your platform. And he literally makes it for everyone. So I don't have an edge on my product or something that I can build. And we took a conscious call that, let's build it from scratch. Okay, so we thought it's going to take us 6 months. It actually took us 9, and there's a lot of onboarding of AMCs and how to do KYC. In fact, there's a lot of blockers we suffered.
Right.
But our job to that was only one. We want to automate operations. Okay, we don't want any files moving around. We don't want people to download Excel sheets, upload to X system, create investors in some other platform, do a KYC. So right now our system runs without anyone touching anything. Okay, to an extent that we have a team of mutual fund operations people, which is just 5 people who monitor stuff.
Wow.
Who are just monitoring stuff. And what that means is, our entire process of doing KYC, our entire process of transaction processing, payment processing, reconciliation is fully automated. To an extent that we're able to achieve at scale 99.98% success rates. Okay, so when we look at our complaints and we actually look at complaints on Twitter or anything, I'm very happy to see, at least, there are minimum, and when I say minimum, it is less than 10 a day for the kind of scale that we are trying to do and we're trying to push money, etc. Right. So that is something that we are super proud about, and I think the time spent in building this is giving us that particular comfort of growing our operations at a scale and making sure that things are not breaking. Right. So this is something that we are very comfortable about. And again, talking about money, we are not the ones who process a lot of money, but we're the ones who process a lot of investors or transactions. So I remember the first day that we went live, and this is again, looking at experts from the industry. They said, the big guys here do around 200 KYCs a day. That's roughly 6,000, 7,000. When you guys start, you should do around 10,000. So we build our systems in terms of manpower, in terms of platforms, for saying कि दिन के 400 के वैसे ही आ गए तो स्टार्टिंग में बहुत है, बाद में हम लोग उसको पेल देंगे. Okay, that is what you think about. Right? But when we made the platform live, and this was just a tweet from us, okay, it is both Paytm handles tweeting, Paytm Money, Vijay and me, we tweeted about that, and within an hour we had 2,000 requests for KYC.
2,000.
2,000.
I remember that day. People were cribbing that I got thrown out of line, exactly. Or I have to wait, and I have to this and that, of course, and all. And certain influencers got to get in early and stuff like that. But yeah.
So then, see, this is where the startup culture is different, okay? And so our entire team was trained to do KYC. So be it engineers, be it designers, be it business people, be it growth people, be it customer support, be it anyone in the company, in Paytm Money, was doing KYCs for the next 15 days. We became KYC masters till the time we actually got the team together. So that's how we do it even today. Okay, most of the responses, if there is any problem that happens, if you send us feedback, if you send us a note, if you send a compliance, if you send grievance email to us, it is responded not by CS team but our team members. So these are the incredible things that we are doing. So there is full ownership of the product, with engineering, with product, with design, with business, with growth, with operations, and we operate in a fully transparent manner. So people know what issues are, and we're trying to make sure, how do you make sure it doesn't. So in our case now the scale has become so much that a small exception that we didn't look at earlier also becomes a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is now what we're trying to solve.
Hey everybody, welcome to another awesome week on IVM Podcast. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So we have a listener survey going on right now. It's going to run till the end of March. It's on our website. It's ivmpodcast.com/survey. Please do participate on that listener survey. Give us your feedback. Tell us a little bit about yourself. That helps us when we go out and talk to advertisers. It is also very helpful for us to kind of know who you are and what kind of things you like. We ask a lot of questions around what kind of content you'd like to see us put out in the next couple of months. And we'd really appreciate any feedback that you could give us. We launched a new podcast on Valentine's Day called Dating is Garbage. Surabhi, Abbas, and Janam talk modern dating and the woes and wows that come with it. Each week they sit down with some very cool guests and have an unfiltered conversation about their dating habits, awkward experiences, and heartbreaks. Tune in to hear them attempting therapy on each other. On the first episode, we have comedian Uruj Ashfaq discussing rejection. On the Scene and the Unseen, Amit Verma talks to Ruben Abraham and Pritika Hingorani of the IDFC Institute. They talk about urbanization and planning in Indian cities. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam is joined by Bhavik Dund, who talks about financial planning for first-time parents. On How to Citizen, we are on Chapter 5, which deals with the Indian judiciary. Joining Meghnad and Shreyas on the episode is RJ Rohini. They try and understand the pros and cons of our judicial system. On Golgappa, Marathi podcast, Tripti is joined by stand-up comedian Rohan Joshi. He talks about his journey as a comic and the highs and lows of being part of the AIB collective. And with that, let's continue with your show. I wonder a question. It comes back to something you were talking about a little earlier when you were talking about bringing on different vendors and things like that, right? What kind of challenges did you face on, like, so the demand side is getting customers on board, right? But what kind of challenges were there on the supply side, right? Both from an integration perspective and from a, hey, you're competing with us kind of perspective, right? I mean, like, were there challenges in getting these people on board?
A lot. In fact, like I said, it's a very funny journey now, because when people didn't know it's Paytm and we were operating like a stealth startup, okay, we used to wait for people outside in the AMC offices and wait for like 1.5 hours, and we like the not important guys to meet, and someone else come to meet the CEO. No, let these people can wait. Okay, someone else can go. Yeah. So things like that. Okay, and even basic things like we are registered with SEBI as investment advisor. We can do KYC of a user. But when we actually got into that whole thing, now let's build our own tech platform.
Right.
Okay. We went to CBDT, which is your income tax department, where we want to have access to validating the PAN card because we want to do a KYC. We reached there and we realized that, hey, this investment advisor as a category is not approved by CBDT. Oh. So I said, what do you do now? Okay. So we have to go back and say, hey, there's a SEBI regulation which says that we're investment advisor. We should be doing KYC. There is no access for this, and we need to get this category of investment advisors included in your approved list of KYC. So we had to do that kind of stuff.
But lobbied for a change?
Not lobbied. In fact, they were very understanding. Okay, and it happened in 4 months, which we think is great.
That's super speed, man. Okay. That's light speed.
Yeah. For us to tell them this is something that is important and this is something that we have chosen as an advisor, and we want to get it done. So we got the category added first, and then we thought we were done, and we realized, oh, it's a category added, we're not added now. So we have to get ourselves added to that category and then go live. So that's thing. And in terms of partners, in terms of AMCs, you wouldn't believe there's one agreement for us. It took 17 months to close. Okay. 17 months. We just signed it like last 1 week or so.
Wow, man.
So this is we telling AMCs, new investors, hum tumko dene wale, okay, fully compliant. We are doing a KYC. We are getting payments. We are giving you new incremental investors, and that's how things are.
What's the deal? Why are they suspecting you, man? I mean, why is such a tough ride? I don't know.
So just to follow up on that, right? Is it because you are at the center of the customer relationship? Is that the challenge that they?
No, it is not. It is basically when we started building our platform, we took our approach everything digital.
Okay.
We didn't want to have any physical people, any physical format, any physical forms. And what really happens in this BFSI industry is people start assuming things with time. So few things that we were talking about, let's say, few AMCs, we were struggling and saying, we are doing electronic verification of bank accounts. And they were saying, no, you require a check. I said, who will have a check now? Who has a check?
Yeah.
Okay. And especially if you're asking for someone who wants to do investment right now, you're asking when he's probably traveling in a bus or somewhere outside. The guy doesn't have a check. Even I don't have a check today with me.
Yeah.
And they said, no, it's a regulation. So it's not regulation, because we went and read every other regulation out there. And we said, no, what it calls for is that the money should come from a verified bank account. We are verifying the account digitally, which is much more secure, no chances of making any loss. And on top of that, we put 1 rupee for every verification in the bank account.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is much more secure than anyone will probably make a mistake or fake a check. And also, these are the things that we had to make sure that we convince the AMCs and respective teams of theirs, which is operations, compliance, business, and so on, and get them onboarded. So that took a lot of time.
Right.
Yeah, so you actually found that the way things were, or the way things people were used to, were actually not needed. You could change.
You could change that. It's just that they got so used to their operations that, hey, this new thing probably is doing, I have to do X and Y now.
I have to do the same way the others do it.
And let me prefer do the same thing because my operations are set. I don't want to disturb that.
And that's exactly what running a startup is, or coming up with being an entrepreneur is, right? You break the norm. You find the things which can be disrupted, and you essentially disrupted it at so many levels.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what we're and you're of course going to reap the benefits of it. And as a industry, I'm sure people have now woken up to so many things that can change.
Correct.
And
it feels so nice now, because our journey of building was around 18 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been live for around 20 months now. Out of that, sorry, not 20 months. I think we've been existing for about nearly 2 years now.
Right.
But the journey of building was around 18 months.
Right.
Okay, so seeing that and what we envisioned, and now it's now actually live and we see transactions happening, it is such a peaceful thing to see.
So I want to do a quick round of a few things, before we wrap up around just quick round of questions around, as a industry, what else do you see? Can you give us a look on what else is waiting to be disrupted? This or allied, which you may or may not get into, but at least for our listeners, what are the things which people should look at, and you still think there's a lot which can be done in those spaces?
I think Anupam knows a lot about that, okay, in terms of how people can make money via investments and wealth management. Okay, what we would really want to do is how do we digitize all of that and make it a commodity and bring it to all. Okay, so I mean, if you look at India market, and thankfully, because we have friends in Alibaba who give us insights from China, and when we've met and we saw what kind of things that they have done over there, and we're talking about we are trying to make a Paytm money, and this is something we're trying to do, and they told us about we have a product called Zebao, which is the money market fund.
Largest in the world.
Largest in the world.
Correct.
And we said, we made it live and we had 40 million users in 6 months.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Yeah. I said, this industry is growing at that pace in that country. And we said, hey, we have mutual funds for practically around 55 years now, if you see when they started. Okay, and we just have 17 million users. But now there are some other products that we have in Paytm ecosystem, like Paytm Gold. Paytm Gold today has more investors or more users than entire mutual fund industry in India.
Really?
Oh.
And that's less than 2 years. Okay, so this is the convenience where,
Man.
and you can't imagine like Indians storing gold digitally in a digital locker, which you can't see. Okay, but it's still there. Okay, speaks a lot about how this country is changing.
Right.
Okay, so if that's what is happening everywhere else, why can't we digitize, or why can't we basically onboard? And make this industry of 17 million, probably 50 million, or probably 100 million in the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah. That's actually possible. So that's what we are aiming for.
And it'll be across various forms of this product. It's mutual funds today. There's gold there.
Yeah.
There is.
Correct.
It could be so many.
I had a question on Twitter. Somebody had asked me about when is stocks going to come in. Like I think I tagged you on the tweet also.
Right.
Said, be confident good things will happen or something.
Yes.
Mystic tweet kind of. Believe in the universe.
Always believe that something positive will happen or something good will happen.
So whoever asked that question, if you're listening in, there's your answer. My guess is it's quite logical, right? I mean, if you're doing mutual fund stocks, eventually someday might come.
Yes.
Yes. And coming back to, again, maybe a tech question, right? I mean, everything we are trying to solve through tech, through scale, through the fact that the addressable market is now, so accessible, or, I mean, whatever. We have so many smartphones out there where people can do things, make decisions. What would you say for a founder, for a upcoming entrepreneur, are the top skills you need to solve for a product in this domain? Like you were a product specialist, you were a techie as well. You were not a wealth manager.
Yep.
Right. You of course learned and found and did the research you did. But what would you say? Like, can anyone get into building for products in this domain? Like building for all of these innovative gold or something like this product? What do you need to do?
A lot of guys would be pissed off, that this is a paise ka dhanda. How could someone who's not from money?
Exactly.
No, so we were always the customers of it. Okay, I think when we look at it, we look at from customer/investor, what we call it at this point of time, from a view. And when we were actually building this product, Okay, you wouldn't believe, like I had a mutual fund SIP in every fund in India. Okay, so like 35 mutual funds in India, and I had invested in all of them just to see what the experience is in terms of, no, not the returns part of it. Okay, but how do you look at an investor? What kind of things that you communicate? And it is so complicated, I can tell you. Like for example, today, if it's my birthday, I'll get AMCs, all 35 AMCs wishing me happy birthday. Okay, but not a single AMC tells me, okay, how much money I have made in a week. I said, that's your job, right? You should be doing your job, which is telling me how much money I have made, which is telling me how the markets are performing, because you are supposed to be the experts.
Right.
So this is the view that we are trying to bring, okay, and not bring the biases of this industry. Like, no, अगर उसको expense ratio बताऊंगा, but ये नहीं बताऊंगा the return कितना हुआ है. I said कि you send me 1,000 emails about change of TERs, which we understand right now because we have become part of the industry.
Oh God, yeah, man. They keep on coming every week.
And every
going
week,
up and down.
you send me one email कि यार मैंने कितना return बनाया in a plain email, which I don't have to download a PDF file, put my password and view it like that.
Account statement.
Correct.
Yeah, that is an aggravation thing, right? I mean, like fake security, basically. It feels like fake security, right? I mean, like you're sending me an email, and now you have to give me a password, which I have to calculate based on like some
your
formula.
First 4 words of your name, last 4 digits
So
of your
your
year of
account
birth,
number,
and
Someone would put a PAN card in between.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's done.
So what you're saying is the fact that someone is probably not biased with this background is actually an advantage in this space.
It is provided how deep you want to go that, because this is not something which is simple,
Right.
Okay, and I think what our strength lies at Paytm Money is the team that we have, because most of the people in our team, in fact all of them, okay, are incredible people who are very passionate about seeing these things, okay, and just imagine our thrill, right? From day one, okay, when we launched, at the end of the day we had like 1 crore investments. I like, oh wow, 1 crore possible है इसमें, but भले लोग 100 रुपए invest करते हैं, but no, we can reach to a crore.
That, my man, is a brave new world. Okay, the old farts versus the new thing. I would never imagine that a non-IIT IM guy would head what is obviously one of the biggest fintech startups today. Guys, an MBA and HR, for God's sake. What are those guys who, like I said, they just send birthday emails. That's all they do. And it's a brave new world, man. Seriously, I think that there's a lot of hope out there. We are old farts, by the way. Okay, so I'm just going to put that as my signing off. Okay.
So now, what really happens is when we meet people, okay, we don't judge them by like, and in fact, if people are coming from the industry, we want to know what is the depth of the industry. Because all of us have now gone inside and read every possible obligation that we have about KYC, about regulations, about mutual funds, etc. Now, it is good, and it comes as a surprise, hey, we probably know a bit more than someone else now.
Yes.
Okay. And obviously for a team, right, they have seen building things for 18 months, and now when you put things up on live and we see like, every few minutes, kuch lakh invest ho jata hai, and by end of the, so like I said, few days when we started, first day was like, end of the day 1 crore. Nowadays, before we reach office, it's like 1 crore already. And like, wow, this looks so nice now.
Nice.
Okay. So now the part is basically, how do you keep it more simple?
Right.
Okay, like how do you keep yourself distance from the noise and try to make sure you
how do
still
you
have
enhance your product and maintain your simplicity,
Yes,
right? Because
yes.
you're going to have to enhance your product, do new things over there. But how
correct.
do you kind of maintain simplicity?
Correct. And which is where the users start becoming experts now. Okay, and then you have to do the fine tuning and balancing about, hey, I am still catering to the new investors because that's a larger set of people you want to get onboarded. But now existing users who are on the platform, they're getting a bit mature, so they probably want to know a bit more about their funds.
Right.
Okay, and a bit advanced because we also have to educate them and get them to the next stage. So this is what we're trying to solve right now.
Awesome.
Perfect. And do you want to do of course, shout out to other folks who might want to join you on this journey? What kind are you hiring? Are you looking to expand? What are you looking for?
So we are actually a big team now. But anyways, the more the hands are better. What we'll look for is people who are very passionate about what things we want to do. And passionate not just by saying that we are passionate or because you have done X earlier. That doesn't work with us. People who can say, hey, I can move this needle for you. Okay, or this is the gap that I see right now that I have identified in your team or that I identified in your product, but I can come and solve this for you and do it completely is something that we absolutely love. Okay, and our emails, our contacts are fairly public. Tweet to us or reach out to us, and you're there.
What about yourself? If I know you have a famous Twitter handle, so why don't you give a shout out to that? And of course,
it's me. My handle is @beingpractical, and my email is pj@beingpractical.com. If you want to write on my work email, it is pj@paytmmoney.com. I'm sure you'll not forget it. Please connect with us. Feedback, complaints, thoughts, how do you grow, how do you build, most welcome.
Even things like, where is my 100 rupees?
Where is my 100 rupees? For that, we track it in your app. But if it is not, please reach out to us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pravin. This was a awesomely enlightening show. Of course, Anupam, any closing thoughts? Amit?
Yeah, this was great. I mean, like, I thought that it's one of the most interesting products out there, right? In terms, just from a simplicity perspective, I think that it's like eye-opening in terms of just how fast you can get stuff done. I've recommended it to a lot of people. So
Thank you.
I'm a user. I've tweeted about it. I have an SIP live on that. I'm just looking for the next big thing, because I know that you guys are going to bring a lot of stuff on board. Just looking forward to whatever is on board in the next couple of months or years.
all right, cool. So just a reminder, everybody, please sign up for our Slack channel if you're not on it. It's at, or rather go to the website, ivmpodcast.com/Shunya1. There's a button over there saying invite us to Slack, and we'll send you an invitation. You can join us over there. And also, please do give us a rating on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this, right? I mean, like Castbox has ratings, YouTube has ratings, just wherever you can. Just give us a rating or reach out to us with feedback. Send us stuff on IVM Podcast on our social media, or Shiladitya is at Shiladitya on Twitter. And so just send us some stuff, and we would love to hear from you guys.
So if you're interested in personal finance, if you're interested in all things money, my podcast is Paisa Vaisa, which is there.
What's it called again?
Right. Okay.
No, sorry, what's the name of the podcast?
Yeah, Paisa Vaisa.
Paisa Vaisa. How do you spell that?
No, you're trying to make fun of me because I'm
No,
like
I'm
chiller
not.
type.
I'm actually trying to kind of repeat the name of your podcast over and over again so that it burns into the minds of the people listening to this one.
PISAV. I don't know, I forgot. Okay,
It's on the
PISAV. It's on the
IVM
podcast app. And I am B50 on Twitter. So for whatever that is, but मेरा handle भी छोटा है.
It's ivmpodcast.com/Paisa Vaisa. Please go over there. You'll be able to find it and listen to it. Anupam's got a really bunch of interesting conversations.
Oh, thank you for that, Amit.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. This was an amazing show, an amazing morning. And we will continue with this Shunya 1,
Yes.
Season 2.
Yes.
Filter coffee is a fascinating beverage. You need to pick the right beans, blend them in the right proportion, roast them to perfection, and slow brew at the right temperature to get the perfect cup. Which is exactly like great conversations as well. You need to track down the most interesting minds, get them into their zone, and settle down for an unhurried, unscripted chat. And coffee for me is always best enjoyed with friends. I'm Karthik Nagarajan, and do share my table as I meet some of the most interesting people I know and sit them down for a strong cup of coffee and an even stronger conversation. Join me every Wednesday for a freshly brewed episode. This is not frappe. This is the Filter Coffee Podcast.
भारतीय सिने इतिहास में महिलाओं की जगह तलाशता हमारा खास हिंदी पॉडकास्ट सिनेमाया, निर्देशिकाओं की फिल्मों, कहानियों और नजरिए को समझने की हमारी एक कोशिश। मैं हूं स्वाति बख्शी और मेरे साथ सुनिए सिनेमाया IVM पॉडकास्ट ऐप और ivmpodcast.com पर भी।